Hi, I'm Katie Barr, and this is What's Boca Saying. Boca Raton has been called a city within the park. And here to dust off the title is EDSA Principal Kona Gray. Kona, welcome to Boca Watch.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning to you. We're happy to have you.
Great to be here.
You know, I think our audience needs to know that we are in very good hands with EDSA. Your company is an award-winning company. You yourself, besides being a landscape architect, are like the rock star of landscape architects. You're the past president of the
Landscape Architecture Foundation. Yes.
You're on the Council Fellows.
Yes, I'm one of the Council Fellows, yes.
So,
which is the highest honor for a landscape architect. Yes.
That's wonderful.
In our society, yes.
Now, going forward, we have a very vocal community. Is that typical for community participation to be so much part of the process?
For us, we prefer that, but actually it's not always part of the process because many communities are not engaged. I think what's so great about Boca and the residents here, so they actually care, and that's rare. It's not very often that we find residents that are coming out and they want to talk about beautifying and making their places better, which is really what we're tasked to do as landscape architects.
Speaking of that, we did have the referendum passed so that we did preserve our parks, and your focus will be on the 14 waterfront parks, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So what's the first one that we're going to be looking at?
Well, definitely we're going to be looking at wildflower, but just to expand upon that, this is sort of a dream project for a landscape architect looking at waterfront parks that are all very, very beautiful, all very unique in their way, and all have different aspects to offer to the public. So we're really excited to see how we can expand upon them and make them really better for everybody.
I know at the last city council meeting, you said there'll be an economic assessment coming.
Yes.
Is that moving forward?
Yes. Actually, on the 12th, we're going to be meeting again in a workshop format with the city council to present some numbers, also to present, essentially where the project can go in terms of the next steps and phases.
Oh, fabulous.
Which is very exciting. We wanted to make sure that we were able to get all the input first before we started to dial into what it's going to cost. That's always a big question.
Right.
What's this going to cost?
Right.
Yes, so we're really excited that we're able to actually develop revenue models for each one of the parks. And that can be done through a lot of things, such as just renting out a pavilion for a wedding or a playground activity for kids. So it's pretty fantastic that, we always try to mirror and match design with economics so that it works.
Oh,
because at the end of the day, if we design something, we want people to use it, and we want it to be there.
Right. At that city council meeting, I think one of the moments where people were cheering at home that were watching, when you said we should buy the lot at any cost.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, wouldn't that be great?
It's a beautiful property.
Yeah.
And it's just right there at such a wonderful location. So
yeah. That would tie it all in.
It would tie it all in.
And what about Silver Palm? Are we thinking about a visioning session for that?
Yes, we are. What's interesting, when we were first tasked to look at this assignment, Silver Palm was one of the parks that we were told just to give recommendations to. And we were like, wow, that's actually a pretty interesting park. We'd like to take it to a conceptual designer. Like, well, no, that's not what, what we want to do. We want to just get some recommendations. And so we looked at it, we made the recommendations, and then little by little, the city started understanding that there could be a possibility to connect these two. So we looked at the connector below the bridge and designed that, so that brought some context to what could happen. But then I stepped back and said, well, we all wondered what could this be if this was one destination,
right.
One destination park.
Right.
So we intend to propose that the city engages us to look at that, doing sort of the same process where we sit down with the residents and talk about, what could happen there and get their feedback, and then show some ideas, some concepts, get feedback on those concepts, and then refine it, similar to what we did with Wildflower.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I think our goal, the residents' goal, would be to have it something like on TripAdvisor. When you're in Boca Raton, this is where you have to go.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
So that's what we're hoping to come from this. So I think that's great. And then, of course, we have ocean parks as well.
Yes.
And, I'm sure you're aware that with Hurricane Irma, we lost a substantial amount of the dune line.
Yeah.
And, hurricanes will continue.
Yeah.
So does that come into the planning process at all, whether it's a reality or not? Do you
It
incorporate
does.
that?
It does. As a landscape architect, we're educated to be stewards of the land. So it's very important for us to protect what Mother Nature gave us. And so we're not tree huggers in the sense that
Right.
we're protesting around trees.
Right.
But we really want to make sure that we're encouraging the best practices as it comes to development of any of the natural resources. So when we look at parks, we get excited because parks are democratic space. They're meant for everybody. And all of these dunes and natural systems and how you connect on these barrier islands is our history. I mean, this is something that's very unique to this part of the world. And so to have those systems in place is magical. The question is that what do you do when the systems are threatened, whether it's from development or whether it's by Mother Nature herself trying to correct some things.
Sure.
And that happens.
Right.
So it's great to see that the city has maintained control of a lot of these spaces because it really does help to keep those natural systems in place because those dunes will replenish.
Right.
It's kind of a natural occurring system where things go away and then they come back.
So we don't have to do that? They replenish the dunes? Or?
You should, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can replenish the dunes and help it along. But over time, if we left it alone, let's just say we left it alone, they would come back. The sand would redeposit, winds would blow, and things would really reestablish themselves. But what we do in terms of humanity is we have the potential and the possibility to actually move it along and make it happen sooner than later.
Speaking of like the city, we have the city and then we have the beach and parks.
Yes.
And so those are two separate entities.
Correct.
Does that bifurcation present any special challenges for you?
Actually, no. What's really interesting is that many municipalities don't have that relationship. I mean, what's great about the Beach and Parks District is that they can actually raise funds to implement a lot of these projects,
Right.
which is fantastic that the city leaders thought that far ahead way back when. So obviously the city's responsibility is to manage these parks. And, so that's a partnership. They have to stick together. They have
Right.
to always be on the same page. And so we've learned through this process that sometimes communication is a little difficult, but at the end of the day, really what we're here to do is provide great spaces for the people.
Right.
and
We're all on the
people
same
above.
page. as
We're all
far
on the
as
same
that.
page.
Right.
We're all in the same boat. We just need
Right.
to make sure our oars are going in the same direction.
That's right. And I know EDSA is all about collaboration.
Absolutely.
So we have volunteers that have put together the 2020 vision.
Yes.
Incorporating the downtown, the waterfront. I mean, does that play into your design process at all?
Absolutely. No, that was very inspiring. We met Margaret Fitzsimmons.
Oh, yeah.
She's wonderful. We met her in one of our first visioning sessions. But what's really interesting about having volunteers involved is that now we're starting to get ideas. We're really in the idea business. So wherever the ideas are coming from, it doesn't matter to us. We're inspired by many things. For me personally, it's primarily the environment and also people. I mean,
Right.
I see those two connections, humanity, the environment, animals, all sort of working together. They need to, right?
Yeah,
We're relying on each other.
It seems more and more the big cities are realizing that the importance of green space, not only to your quality of life, it can make you
Right.
smarter if you're outside. I mean, there's all
Absolutely.
kinds of things that go hand in hand with that.
Well, you just need to go back a few centuries and read about Frederick Law Olmsted, one of the first American landscape architects that developed Central Park.
There you go.
What would
Right.
New York City be without
I know.
Central Park?
I know.
And all the other wonderful parks and green space networks that he created have changed the lives for many people. And some people take it for granted. They're like, oh, okay,
True.
yeah, it's just there. But it's there.
It's there for a purpose.
It's there for a
Yeah,
purpose.
it was saved.
Yeah, intentional design.
Yeah.
Which is really wonderful.
Well, then we're in very good hands with EDSA, and we look forward to the next presentation, which will be the 12th.
The 12th of
Okay.
February, yes.
So we all have to be there, and we're excited to hear what the plans are going forward.
Excellent.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
visiting us today, Kona.
Absolutely. It's been wonderful.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
That's it for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. As always, we encourage you to stay involved, stay informed, and keep your comments coming into bocawatch.org.